welcome to Ignite Your Destiny online show. I am Jamie Marie, host of the show, and I am so excited to welcome Deneen TB with us today. Hi, Deneen.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to dig in. So, first of all, will you tell the ladies a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I call myself a development strategist because I help women to connect their personal, professional, and spiritual lives. Connecting faith and business is what I'm about. And what do I do that? How do I do that? I do it through speaking, I do workshops, I do online courses, and I do retreats and consulting and coaching one-on-one. But what I really love is the Christian Women's Networking group that I have. I've just written a new book called Clarify, and it profiles 11 biblical women. So I'm really excited to have another layer on which I can help women to connect their faith and business. I've got a background in education. I've got a master's degree, and I kind of mix all of that with my experiences in drama to really give people a hands-on type of experience, whether they're with me for a speaking engagement, a workshop, or even just reading my book.
I love it. And her book, Clarify, has been such a transformational experience as she's written. I've kind of followed along with her, and being able to really connect that, it has been just such an eye-opener, in the way that you have really made that happen and brought that to life. So I'm excited for you. And I know you just had a party last night to celebrate that.
Yes, we did. We had a great party. We had a few women come out and a couple of men as well. And today, I think the majority of other people will be coming because you got to split it into two. Not everybody can come on one day. So
Yes.
I've learned my lesson.
Yes, we always have to have 2 dates. That is so exciting. So how did you decide, tell us more about how you decided to write this book or the story behind it?
Oh, this is a fun one. So I had been with another woman. We became accountability partners. We both had the same heart for Christian business women. And she lives way out in Washington State, and I live here in Michigan. And we had met at a conference and really just hit it off. And so for all of 2016, or even before that maybe, we were accountability partners, and we were trying to pull things together. I went out to Washington. We did a half-day conference together and things like that. So what we decided was we were going to do a 7-day challenge at the beginning of 2017. And we got probably around 100 women to come into the challenge with us. And the challenge was going to be to profile 7 biblical women and the principles that they taught for us as Christian businesswomen, connecting our faith and business. And so I was the writer, and she was, then she had been a coach for years, a businesswomen's coach, years and years. So I started writing, and I just got the biggest downloads from God. I mean, she was really good at helping me to get it to a place of this is how it needs to be tightened up, which was really great. But I just thrived by writing it, and it started to just flow. And I thought, well, if I can do these 7 women, there must be other women in the Bible. And we ended up with 11 real life women. And then the 12th woman, because there are 12 principles, that's the subtitle, 12 principles to illuminate your calling to the marketplace, is because the last woman is the Proverbs 31 woman, who I show how each of the other women are exemplified in her, and how you as the reader are also exemplified, and you are a Proverbs 31 woman.
I love it. It's so beautiful. And so when you started this adventure, because I know we're speaking to a lot of ladies that, are not sure, and they don't know which way they want to go. So when you wrote this book, did you know how to do it? I mean, did you know, or did it come to you?
Well, the thing is I've been working with Christian businesswomen for about 5 years. Prior to that, I got started on my business journey. I've always taught classes. I never considered that a business, but it was a business. But I got into sales in 2010 with a direct selling company, and I led a team. And so I started doing things little by little. I worked with a coach about 3 years ago, and really thought that I was going to be doing just writing devotionals and Bible studies. I had a small dream God had a big dream for me, right? So I started thinking about how we're supposed to love God with our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I was looking at helping people connect to God through their personalities. And I kind of likened it to some of us are heart people because we are emotional people. Some of us are soul people because we're more creative and intuitive. Others of us are mind people, and some of us are strength people. Like, we go for it, we do the actions, we work with our intentions and things like that. So I had split that up already, and I had realized I've been doing a lot of Bible studies. I do teach Bible studies, and I realized how much I loved talking about the Bible. Like, that was what really lit me up. And this book, I realized as I was writing it, is kind of a culmination of everything that I have been doing little by little. God has used to put it all together. So when I was writing, the stories came out, and the stories are from a perspective that I've never seen before. Every time I would study these women before, I was either a stay-at-home mom, I was a homeschooling mom, or I was a part-time worker mom, or it was about relating to my husband, or it was relating to my spiritual inner life. It never related to my work, my business, that kind of thing. And so it was a new experience for me. And so in the book itself, I have exercises that are heart, soul, mind, and strength. So there's a heart activity, which gets you thinking and asks you questions. And then the soul activity is a prayer activity. Again, I've been teaching this specific technique called praying in color for years, and I've incorporated it into the book. And then our mind activity is you actually creating a goal based on the principle that you're studying with that woman. And then the strength is, what are those action steps that are going to take you to that goal? So it could be a life goal. It doesn't have to be a business goal, but mine are geared around how are you doing this in your business?
I love that. And praying in color.
Oh, yes.
So beautiful, because I tell everybody, you have to see life in color.
Definitely.
See life in black and white. It's not. And I love that you're sharing how your story and your experiences, they all have led up to this big vision that you didn't even know existed. And that's so powerful. So, I mean, what would you say to the women that may be asking themselves, or, pondering on it at night, I don't even know what God has called me to do. I don't even know what my purpose is. What would you say to them?
I would say call me.
Well, that's good too. And get your book.
Get the book first. Definitely get the book first. What I've come to understand, and part of what I help women do, is to really get that clarity. I know the book is called Clarify, but I have a clarity course, and looking at what God has already put into your life. I know there's a saying that says, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. I would like to rearrange that and say, God equips you. God has already equipped you for exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You just have to figure out how that is. So I would say the first thing that I would tell women is, go back and just list all of the experiences that you've had. Go back and list any expertise that you have. Now, I'm not talking about an expertise like you have to have a degree in it or a certificate that says it, but you've been involved in it for long enough that you have a load of experience behind it. I can tell you, I've taken some drama courses, but I don't have like a degree in drama, but it's definitely in my wheelhouse, and it applies to what I'm doing now. Go ahead and do I do values exercises. What's important to you in your life? Because I think what a lot of women do is they're yes people. They say, this is my plate, and yes, I can do this, and yes, I can do this, and yes, I can do this, and yes, I can do, and they never say, well, is it something that I really want to do? And I love the values exercises that I do with women, because it gives them a filter. I make them pick 5, and it gives them a filter of what they can do, what they can say yes to, and what they can say no to. So then they can take their plate and go, I can get this away, and I can take this away, and I can take this away, and really focus in on what God wants them to do. And at different times in your life, it's going to look different.
Right. It absolutely is. And And I have always shared with the ladies I've worked with, write down just as fast as you can, write down all those things you've done. And then really I have them hone in on, like, say 10 pivotal moments that have transformed their life, because you can usually see that pattern within it to go, okay, this is where God's been leading you. And they maybe don't even know that at times. So I think that I love the values thing. And I know you chose a word for the year and I chose a word for the year. And it's exactly what you're talking about, because I chose freedom for 2018. And I've truly done that. Anything that does not align with that, within my world, I can just say no to. And it's such a powerful thing. I know a lot of people think, oh, you guys are choosing words for the year, but no, it's pivotal for me.
Oh, very much so. 2 years ago, when I was, I was on a nutrition plan. I lost 50 pounds. That wasn't the reason I went on the nutritional plan, but the word that year was intentional. And I did everything intentional. So I intentionally wanted to get healthier. So I did the nutrition plan. I intentionally wanted to build relationships. And then last year, my word was daring. And I would do things that were daring. And as I was writing the book, which was very daring for me, I was reaching out to influencers so that I was actually building a following on a tribe, aka even you found me before my book was even out there, because I was being daring. Someone asked me if I was hang gliding or something. I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. For me, that's just ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. But for me to pick up the phone and talk to someone who is in my industry, who's way ahead of me, that's kind of daring for me,
right.
But it kind of gave me that focus of, am I going to do this? Am I going to take that step? Am I going to put myself out of my comfort zone? So that's really great. This year's word is Meraki. Ooh. And it's Meraki. And it means to put your whole self into an activity, your creativity, your whole soul. You have to be able to leave a piece of yourself in that project, in that activity, for it to be important. And so, that's what I'm doing. So if I can't go at it with 100%, I'm just not going to go at it.
Now, out of curiosity, the year that you picked the word intentional, is that when your book started being placed in your heart?
I have always wanted to write a book. I tried to do children's books like 20 years ago when my kids were little. And it was just a different time back then. And then I've always wanted to write. I didn't know that this book was the first book. I really thought that I was going to be I love the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, and I had this whole catch on it to lean into God. And I was going to talk about that personalized faith plan and how a professional woman can do that with not a lot of time. I guess, moms don't have a lot of time either. So maybe it would be for more of an audience than I thought. But that was the first one, but it never happened. It wasn't until I was, like I said, working with Shannon for that whole year of 2016 and really honing in on what God was having me and who he was having me really speak to, that yes, I was totally like prepped. By the time that we started the challenge, I started the challenge before the top of the year, obviously. I really think that intentional was that he was really grooming me for the message that he really wants from me, because it's been a whole growth process. It's not been like I got this wham and yes, I'm going to go out and do that. It has been a very slow process. I've had, I guess, a lot of things to learn, and just at the right time, the right space. It's so funny. I got started in all of this I just turned 54 just this past week. So I launched my book on my birthday. And so I really started this when I turned 50. And so I want to give it a shout out to every woman out there that it's never, now I'm going to get emotional. It's never too late. I was a stay-at-home mom with a part-time business. I homeschooled my two children, my two girls, all the way through. Obviously I'm a teacher, so that might be easier, but you can do that too. but I was home and doing what I knew God asked me to do. He asked me to be home for my kids. And he gave me the opportunity to be home with my kids because I have a husband that can support us. I didn't need to work. I wanted to work so that I could give the girls those extra things like dance classes and piano classes and all of those things. And I enjoy teaching. And so for me, when I turned 50, my youngest daughter was now in college. She was starting college because she's graduating in a semester. So it has been that he said, okay, now you're done that part. Here's the next part. And he really is giving me the desires of my heart, because the desire of my heart was to be an author and speaker. So it happens, and I'm going to cry.
Okay, cry away. This is a very real thing. So definitely. And I love how really God has been able to give you those heart longing pieces your whole life, even though you maybe didn't know, that ultimately you would become an author. And I like, it's never too late.
It's never too late. And there's things that I did in the interim that really satisfied me. My husband and I had trained to be missionaries, and it didn't work out. And I always thought that I was supposed to be a missionary or whatever. But I was teaching Spanish to all these young people, thinking, okay, God, it's okay. They can go be the missionaries. I can be that person that's egging them on or supporting, encouraging them. And I think you have to get to a place where wherever you are in your life, that you say to God, it's okay, because I'm learning this, or I'm doing this, or this is what you have for me. And so during the time, I did 2 years while my children were young. Well, I guess they were middle school or so. I wrote and directed the dramas at our church for Christmas productions. So I was writing. I mean, over 10,000 people saw those productions. It wasn't a small thing. So he's given me these little glimpses and opportunities to really hone in on the skills that he had given me, and that I had, I've had, my own degrees and things like that. And so all of those things, like I said, it just has come together in such a beautiful way that I could not have orchestrated it better. Some of us type A personalities, we like to say, this is what's going to happen in my life, dot, 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 dot. And that's not how it happens. But if we allow it to happen, it is so much better. It is so much bigger and more fulfilling than you can ever imagine.
Absolutely. And what I hear you saying, though, really is you had that dream and that heart to be a missionary, and it maybe didn't work out in the ideal, we're going out to the countries, but truly that work that you did building the drama, that was a mission. And it reached people, and now with your book, even it's reaching people. So, I mean, ultimately, like, it still was a missionary situation where you're changing those lives and reaching out. So that's beautiful in itself. Can you share I know you already have, really, because we've been talking about it, but encourage the ladies that really it might change, their vision might change through the years, or like you were sharing, it might look like one thing and then become something else. So those changes that happen in life, what would you share with them about that?
I would say that it's good to be open to those shifts, because what happens is you can feel very strongly about something that God wants you to do, and guess what? It may not work out. It may even turn you again, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But I would say that be open to taking that next step. God doesn't say, here's the vision out here, and you have to run at it and go get it. He says, are you going to trust me with the next step that I'm leading you on? And in that trust, then he can build your faith, and then he can slowly open up that vision to you. Because if he gave it to you all in one big swamp, you would sit down and go, I'll never be able to do this. Kind of thing. I'll give you an example. In 2015, I opened a business and educational center here locally, because I had the networking group for about 3.5 years already. And we were in different places. We would meet here for one thing, we'd meet here for another thing. If I had a workshop, I'd have to go do this or that. So I decided that I needed to have one central location. And I tried one way to do it, really felt that God said, go like rent your own space. And I tried not to do that, and that really didn't work out. And so I rented the space. I had rented a big space. I had a 2-story, 1,400 square feet place. And I had sponsorships. I had people that would rent it and use it themselves. I had my workshops there, but it was never enough money. It was never enough activity going on. And I had a contract for 18 months. And at the end of the 18 months, I had to close. And I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of my husband's money. Praise God that he lets me do all these crazy things. But I lost money. And I shut down last Christmas and just, sat with God, like, what is going on? I felt like you had told me to do this, but then it didn't work out. Was I supposed to hang on to it? What was I supposed to do? But I had to honor my husband when he said, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Right.
Okay. So I said, but what I've come to realize is that, yes, that was a step of trust and faith. And even though it didn't work out, I learned how to focus, and I learned how that I was allowing all of these other things to really distract me because I wasn't allowing God to keep working on just exactly what he had for me. And I know that sounds like really like kind of up here, like that's kind of, but I pulled out a lot of things that were good about it. For example, I started doing Periscope and Facebook Live, and I started learning some other things while I was in that process. And I got to know a lot of people locally, and it really helped my business now that I've come off of the grid, so to speak, and I'm more online. I still have that support system, and that's the reason I'm having the launch party locally, is because I have that support system. I have those people that know, like, and trust me already. And if I hadn't had that experience of having to go find people to fill up the center, I never would have been as locally grounded and connected than I am. So everything will work out, and you will have these ups and downs. And like I said, it's just that I trusted God for that step. Even if that step was a hard step and it was a learning step, it still was a necessary step to get me to the real focus that I have. And now God's opened up like the dream. I mean, I have the 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan. I know it's going to be happening. And it's just a matter of now just sitting with God as my CEO and saying, okay, what is the next step for this? Because God's way is not always what the world is saying. And you might think, well, I see all these other people online just going crazy. Why is my following not happening? Why is this not happening? It's because God has a different plan for you. And Galatians 6, 4 and 5 says, keep your eyes on your own stuff. Don't look at all those other people. That God's called you to what he's called you. And if you just stay on that path, you're going to be successful in the way that satisfy and fulfill you.
Absolutely. And that is so spot on, because we have to truly take a step back and stay in our lane. And I don't mean, when I say stay in our lane, I don't mean our own specific, well, I do, I guess, but we can't compare ourselves to everybody else, because we're each uniquely made. And,
right.
Of us have a unique purpose and a unique destiny. And so I'm glad that you brought forth that to the ladies, because that's so important to know and to realize. And there may be women that are watching, they're saying, well, okay, but I don't know how to get visible, or I don't know how to make those connections. And I really hear you saying, just follow the path that God's showing you, but also take those leaps of faith and trusting as well. If God's leading you that way and it scares you, just go ahead and jump out and do what he's showing you. Like with me, I know I shared with you, I don't do anything unless I have what I refer to as big, bold, blinking lights. And I really sit and I'll wait on something that God has given to me until I feel like, just, okay, go, and it's always worked out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And I think that a lot of times we see these people online and they could be of just flash in the pan. I mean, it could be that that's what they're doing right now, and God's really building something in you, and he wants you to go slower, and he wants you to really be authentic. We don't know if those people are authentic. You may love them, they might feel like they're great, but you get to know them and you're like, okay, why did I think that? Or that kind of thing. But definitely you have to, there was something I was going to say and I lost my train of thought. So hopefully it'll pop back into my head in a minute about that, because I don't want anyone to feel like it's not for them. Oh, I know what it was. That I believe that God puts resources in front of you, and sometimes we need to discern that that's the right thing to do. So sometimes that resource can be a course, a class, a book, a mastermind, a person. And so, and it might be just for a season. And then, or you might just get enough information out of them, and then you have to move on. It's not like you have to stay with them. I follow a woman in my Instagram learning, found her about 3 years ago. But she can only take me so far. She's not a believer, so she doesn't really understand my audience, but she did help me. So God put her in front of me. I'm not going to discount her because she's not a believer or, that kind of thing. But she was there for a reason, for a purpose. And I've met so many brilliant women because of her and being in her little tribe for a while. And I'm still kind of in her tribe, but I've met women. And I'll tell you, I went on a retreat and, and I go, of the 25 women, of course, I stand there and we introduce ourselves and I say, I connect with people. I help women connect their faith and business. And by the end of the retreat, everyone had come up to me and told me where they stood in relationship to that. So I got to have a conversation with every single woman privately.
I love it. That's so big. What an honor.
So yeah, it's exciting. And so it's you have to be you. And if you're not going to be you, it won't work out. And that's what I have found, that for women specifically, I've heard it again and again, they are not authentic. They're giving up that authenticity for safety, whether it can be the safety of anything, of people not liking them, or the safety of finances, or whatever that is for them. I have found that is one of the biggest things that we have to really crush through, is that God calls us to be authentic. The principle for the Proverbs 31 woman is that you show up whole, holy, and authentic in your marketplace. You really need to show up that way everywhere that you are. So if you're at the PTA meeting or in the boardroom or leading a team or just at home with your kids, you need to be the same person. We need to stop having these silo lives and these compartmentalized lives, and we need to start living a seamless life, the life that God has for us and the woman that he has made you to be, so that no matter where you are, you're not hiding behind what you think you need to present. You're presenting your true self. And the people that don't like that, that's okay. Everybody's going to have the haters. Everyone's going to have you can't be perfect for everyone, and you can't please everyone, but God has designed you, and he's designed the people you're supposed to be around, your sphere of influence, for you. So if they're not supposed to be with you, then don't worry about it. That's not your people.
Yes. And I say that time and time again, because I hear a lot of women, but they won't like it, or they won't, what I'm like, but that's not your person then.
Mm-hmm. That's not your person. Exactly.
And I kind of feel that it almost comes down to, as women, we want so many people to accept us for who we are. And, my phrase for myself is, I always say, I'm an acquired taste. Some people either love me or they don't. And that's okay, because this is how God has designed me to be. And I truly, I believe that for every woman. And like you're saying, we have that specific person and tribe. And with what you're speaking, if we can be authentic and real and change one life, doesn't that make it worth it?
Oh, definitely. And our sphere of influence is bigger than we think.
Yes.
Because we have our people we see every day. That could be our family, that could be coworkers. That's a sphere of influence. How many people do you come in contact with that need to know about him? And then we have, because the Great Commission says, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. Well, your Jerusalem is everyday people. Your Judea is those people you see maybe once a month. Maybe you go and have clients or customers that you see once a month. That's your next influence. Samaria, or maybe you go to a conference every year. Maybe you go on a vacation with another family. Whatever it is.
Right.
You have these spheres of influence. You don't need to go to the uttermost parts of the earth. That's for some people, and maybe you'll go on one mission trip or something like that. But what are you doing here? What are you doing in Jerusalem? What are you doing with your neighbor? What are you doing with the people that are right around you? And how are you influencing them? And it's not about influencing them with your brand. It's about influencing them with you and whose you are and who is coming through you as Christ follower.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for saying that.
But it's true, and it's every woman, feels like they want to do more for God. This is the other thing I've heard. They want to do more for God. And because I work with Christian business women, some of them have to deal with husbands and children. Some of them are single. Some of them are single moms. I have the whole gamut in my group. And some of them, have some little, I shouldn't say some little, some of them have a direct selling business that they can do out of their home. That's why I make it little. I have financial planners. And so I have this whole gamut of people. And I hear it again and again. I want to do more for God. And I listen to them, and I listen to the stories that they tell about how they're helping someone in their office adjust to the new job, or how they're taking someone out to lunch because they're going through a hard time and they're listening to them. And I laugh at them, and they go, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, because you think that you're doing more for God if you get more into the church and you do more activities there that are church sponsored. And God's calling you to do it outside the church. And guess what? It's okay. And if people are complaining at you that you don't volunteer in the nursery, or you don't, aren't a greeter, or you don't show up to the Bible study, tell them God has another plan for me. God and me are good, and I'm doing this. I was in the missions committee at my church prior to becoming a businesswoman. And I initiated a lot of things, and a lot of things are still happening in my church because of our committee. And when I left, and I said, I can't do this anymore because I'm working full time and I have a team and blah, blah, blah. I had haters. I had people talking about me. Oh, Deneen's not here anymore. Deneen, da, 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 da. But they did not know what I had done is I have a contribution goal every 8 weeks. I have a strategy called an 888 strategy. And one of the 8 goal areas of my life is contribution. And it doesn't mean just giving my tithe. It means, what am I giving back? And my husband and I had decided to go into a Hispanic community near us. And we actually have been there. This is our first year in 8 years that we're not there because we closed it up. But we were doing a tutoring program twice a week. So I was going twice a week to a tutoring program that we were sharing the gospel with these children and developing and getting into their lives with their parents, with all of these different layers of their life, not just helping them with schoolwork. And so, but the people at church didn't know that. They thought I had dropped out of church, so therefore I was not serving. No, God can have something specific for you. And it doesn't really mean you got to show up on the Tuesday morning Bible study or the Thursday night Bible study. I tell my women, I know you guys don't want to go do that. You'd rather be home with your kids on Thursday night because you don't get to see them because you work full time, or you can't go on Tuesday morning because you can't get out of work. My friend who has her own business, she goes, even if I go to the Tuesday morning Bible study, all I'm thinking about is I got to be back at the office and not concentrate. So we have a Bible book club in my group, and we meet during lunchtime, and we don't just talk about our families and how it applies to our spiritual life. We talk about how do we apply it to our business life, our work life every single day.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that you're confirming that, because our work can look different, and our service it can look different. And that's so vital to know when you're looking at your destiny, saying, who am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to go? It doesn't have to be what everybody else is doing.
Right. And I think I really stress that you need to fill up on God first so you understand these things. I liken it to a 3-tiered fountain. And you're the top cup. You're the cup that is the smallest. And because when you have a fountain, the water bubbles up through the top to fill it up. So that's God bubbling up in you when you're spending time with him. Then it overflows to the second cup, which is the people that are closest to you. If we do what Mary Kay said, it's God, family, and then work, right? So that's your family, your closest friends, the people you see all the time, that sphere of influence. Then it is that big cup, and that's your volunteering. You can even put work in that, but a lot of times work has to be in the second one, right? So it could be that, but that volunteering and all of those other things, you got to make sure you're good. You've got to make sure your family's good. Then you can do the other stuff. You can only overflow in a good way if you're filled up first. And what I think and what I see is a lot of people have this turned upside down.
Yeah.
And they have that big one first. And so they're trying to do everything being spiritually dehydrated. And if you're spiritually dehydrated, you're not overflowing in a good way. You're overflowing in probably a very toxic way.
Yes. And we are definitely gonna we have a gal that's gonna talk about putting on your oxygen mask and really taking the steps to take care of you, and like you're saying, fill your spiritual buckets up, basically. I love how you have this visual way of putting everything and translating it into life, and it's so helpful, and it's such a gift. Like I can't do that. I love how
you got drama in there. The drama, you have to see it on the stage.
I love it. So for the ladies that might be going through a rough time in life, or maybe that are saying, okay, I'm just stuck. I don't know who I am and who I'm made to be. Because you really walk through that in a lot of things that you've shared, and it's lined up perfectly. What would your advice be to them?
I would start by saying, get a journal. I know a lot of people don't think that they can journal because they think that you can only journal one way. Journaling can be a lot of writing. It can be a lot of coloring. My journal, I actually have my journal so far. This is my journal this year, and until it runs out. So I journal everything. I journal prayers. I journal verses. I journal business ideas. Everything is in my journal. It's not compartmentalized. It's all together. And I'm a wordsmith. So you might be more of a picture person, but these are kind of what it kind of looks like.
Love it.
So some days it looks like that. Some days it is a lot of writing, especially if it's a verse or something like that. And talk to me. And I think that, so get your colored pencils, get your pens, get your favorite way to do it. I'm not talking about Bible illustrating or anything like that. It's doodling. It is, what happens is, I do a lot of brain research, and it actually slows your brain down, because a lot of times I find that women don't give themselves time to slow down enough to listen to God. And he can really show you what he wants you to do. Of course, I'm a big believer in taking all kinds of quizzes. So if you want to know more about yourself, go take the Myers-Briggs, go take a DISC, D-I-S-C assessment. That's more for business. Go online and find a values assessment. Like I said, I do all this with my women. The Strength Finders book has been absolutely invaluable to me. And I have the leadership book as well as the regular book. Anything that will help you understand who you are first, and then ask God to reveal to you, because he will give you a passion. He'll give you something that's going to start to pull at your heart, and it may align directly with something that you learned already, that you forgot, that you did a long time ago, and it will bring that up. Or it might be something that he wants you to learn new, and you can have that. I have a friend that I just came, well, she's my friend now, but she came through my Calling Clarity course. We just did it last fall as a beta. And she's a woman who she's a crafter and she's a quilter, and she is she loves like nutrition. She's a health coach. She's got all these certifications, and she's an accountant. I mean, that's what she does. She's an accountant. And then she has all these other things that she does. And she was all over the place when she started the Calling Clarity course, and she didn't know what she was going to be doing. And really, when we ended the course, she still wasn't really clear about how she could incorporate this or that. And we were talking about her doing classes for sewing and all of these things because she liked it. Well, about 4 to 6 weeks later, we had a follow-up, and what she had realized is she had said, I love accounting, and I love helping companies with their accounting. And what we realized was all those other things that she has are all audiences that she can go to be an accountant for, because she understands their lingo. She understands their industry speak. If she knows what the crafters are, so if someone has a quilting business, she already understands that business, and she can be a great accountant for them. If she has a health person, a health coach, she understands that business already, and she's like, whoa, I can't believe it. This is something I can do. So all those experiences have led her to come that, yes, I love accounting and I'm going to do that. But now I have specific audiences, because, the more you niche down into who you're supposed to serve, the more your voice amplifies and more people will hear you. So I'd say, get your journal out, start making these lists. I even say, make a list of 100 accomplishments that you've done in your life. And it's not just an accomplishment that somebody else would pat you on the back for, but it's something you were proud that you did. And see what you've done. Like you had said, see what patterns start to emerge. Ask God to show you, is this something that I've done in my past that you want to bring to the forefront? Is it something that I've learned a lot of different steps and I never put it together before? I think we need to take time to be nice to ourselves and not think that we have to, like, it's going to come to us like that. I have looked in my journals in the past, and like, for example, when I was supposed to close the center, I saw example after example after example of God saying, you're learning this, but you should be doing this. You're learning this, but you should be doing, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I see that before? So that's what's great about having the journal, is that you can look back and see the growth and see how God has been giving you idea after idea after idea. So give yourself the time. Give yourself time to sit with your CEO every day. Yeah. And if it means you have to wake up 15 minutes earlier, if it means you have to lock yourself in the bathroom, if it means you have to hire a babysitter, get your neighbor's kid to come over for 20 minutes, whatever you need to do, you need that time. You need to fill up with you and God, that vertical relationship, so that those horizontal relationships will even get better.
Yes. And what I hear you saying with the journal too, and I actually wrote it down, is don't get stuck in perfectionism.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Just scribble in there, whatever you want.
Yeah. And the same thing with stepping out in our purpose. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like a storytelling situation or a movie. Just step out and do it. And
right. And I mean, even now, I said 3 years ago, I worked with a branding coach, and I have a website out there right now, and it's the personalized faith plan. It's something that everyone needs. It's not what they want. So I'm transitioning into a new part. And was it a mistake to have it? No, it was part of the process. And it was not that it was perfectly what I was supposed to do, but it was what I was supposed to do right then. I trusted God with that step so that I could get to this step. So it will unfold. It does unfold, and it's a beautiful story.
It is. I could share many stories of that.
Exactly.
Yes. So if the women want to find you, how do they go about finding you to work with you or learn more?
To learn more, I always say go to my LinkedIn profile first. That's always my most recent of what I'm doing. And everybody should get on LinkedIn, by the way. So my LinkedIn profile, which is my entire name. So Deneen TB is the easy way that I want people to remember me. But my name is Deneen Troupe-Buitrago. So if you start to put in Deneen Troupe, I will pop up. I'm the only person in the world named Deneen Troupe-Buitrago. And there's a hyphen in there. So you can find me on LinkedIn. But I also love my Instagram account at Grow From Your Overflow. See, GFYO, Grow From Your Overflow. And I have a group on Facebook that is the Grow From Your Overflow Christian Women's Network group. It is not just local, so I'm expanding that. So there is a public group out there for that as well. If you go to growfromyouroverflow.com, you'll find me, and the Instagram, Grow From Your Overflow. That's what I believe you have to do. That's what the fountain is. It's growing from the overflow that you have from filling up on God.
Yes, and we will definitely also put links below for you guys that you can find her quickly and easily. I hear I need to get on LinkedIn as well. So I'm on there, but I don't ever do anything on there. So
I have met most of the best influencers that I have reached out to. I've met there. A few were on Instagram, but in the professional realm, because I am dealing with Christian business women, I've met so many people, their authors especially, and things like that. I know people use Twitter, but not for what I want to do. And I had a goal by the end of 2017 to have 1,000 people connections on LinkedIn, and I made that about 3 weeks before the end of the year.
awesome.
So I've got 1,000 people. So connect with me, and if I put something out there, as you said, I have a lot of people that will get back to me, a lot of engagement, and I actually help teach people about LinkedIn because I believe in it so much. It's so easy to be professional over there, and people get back to you. Whereas some other social medias platforms are kind of crowded.
Yes, definitely. I know you share, or you're going to share a free gift with the ladies watching today. So tell us more about that. We'll have links below, but just share with them more on that.
Okay. Right now on my website, you can get an ebook that I have out helping you connect to the super abundance of God. And it is the 8 spiritual practices that you can start today, and how to start with your own personality. So you can get that. You'll be signed up on my list, and what happens on my list is every week you get my blog that comes out, and then you get a list of the local happenings, and as I expand, it's going to be more national happenings. So that is, you don't get bugged all the time. You might get a Thursday email once in a while because I have a special announcement or something like that. So that's what you would get. And if you are interested in having a clarity session with me, that's 30 minutes to chat with me, please connect with me via Facebook Messenger, or I don't have like one of those things where you put the appointments in. I'm not up there yet. Finding working, so I have to find a better one. But anyway, so you can go to Deneen at growfromyouroverflow.com and send me an email directly, or message me either DM on Instagram or on Facebook Messenger, or you can on LinkedIn. You can send me a message. That would be awesome too. So I'm everywhere, and then I can tell you when we can meet. So 30 minutes clarity session.
And women, ladies, I think that would be so powerful for you to be able to do, because if you are able to connect with Deneen and she's able to help you walk through some of that and find that clarity, that can really bring forth, some stuff that maybe you might be missing or not seeing, and help you get ignited to fulfill that destiny and start taking those steps in that. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that. That's an amazing free gift with Deneen. So thank you for that. That's wow. Sign me up. So is there anything before we get finished that you would like to share that we maybe haven't touched on?
I have loved talking today. This has been really, really great. I just thank you. And I think we've covered a lot of it. We always have a lot more stories, right? Yes. So would love to connect with anyone and come visit you kind of thing, that kind of thing. And really, I just appreciate the opportunity to speak to the women that are listening and are just wanting to understand more about how God has designed them, created them to be, and to move forward with confidence in trusting that He wants you to live out the calling He has for you.
Thank you so much, Deneen. Thank you so much for joining us. We
Okay,
could talk all day, I think.
I think so.
And I didn't realize you were in Michigan, so we're really close. So,
Yes, we are.
um, well, we will finish up there then. But thank you so much. This was just amazing, and I can't wait to hear the feedback from the ladies and what kind of experiences they have watching today.
Thanks.
So look, my mind's spinning. So I don't even know how to end it right now. So, all right. So we're going to finish up there. And I hope that you have been encouraged and inspired to really take that leap of faith. And God has called you for a very, very unique purpose. So we will see you on the next show. Have a great day. Bye.